All right, what up, what up, what up? This is DB talking now, DB talking birds, DB talking Philadelphia Eagles. I have a few things I want to get into, guys, and so let's go ahead and start. Obviously, I want to talk about the Eagles Chargers game yesterday. The Eagles lost late, 27-24 on a last-minute field goal that the Chargers were able to acquire. Um, yeah, I mean the defense. Honestly, let's just come out and say what the issue was with this Eagles Chargers game is the Eagles defense just couldn't stop anybody, couldn't stop them in that second half there. Although, I do also want to talk about the positives too. Obviously, Jalen Hurts came out, had a good game. Nick Sirianni, the head coach for the Philadelphia Eagles, continues to make improvements. It looked like the Eagles were going to come out and start that game, and they did. They started the game off with pass heavy, three passing plays and a run, and at first you kind of had your scare. Is Nick Sirianni going to abandon the run? Because that's the one thing that we want to see, right? Is we want to see Nick Sirianni stick with the run. So once they got the ball back, they started to drive the ball down the field by giving the ball to Jordan Howard. Jordan Howard had a great game. Continues to play well since we activated him from the practice squad. Boston Scott's game was a little bit more quiet, but was able to sprinkle him in here and there. And then the offensive line again just had a great day, had a great game. Joey Bosa did end up getting a sack on Jalen Hurts later in the game on third down, but it didn't thwart the Eagles. It didn't thwart the Eagles' opportunities to win this game all that much. Jalen Hurts led two touchdown drives to keep the Eagles in this game, and so I can't really fault the offense. I can't really fault the offense for this. It was strictly mainly a defensive loss, and Jonathan Gannon needs to get his shit together. You know what I mean? Jonathan Gannon needs to get his shit together. Needs to figure out a way to have those guys up front play aggressive. Here's the thing too that really irks me is the Chargers offensive line was down two starters, and the Eagles defensive line still could not get to Justin Herbert. Justin Herbert, his jersey was pretty much clean all day until he got that rushing touchdown deep in the red zone late in the fourth quarter, I believe it was. So I mean, yeah, I mean, I just can't understand. I just can't understand what is going on with this defensive line. Now, clearly, Howie Roseman has made every effort he possibly can every single offseason since the 2017 Super Bowl season, even before then, to make sure that the defensive line and the offensive line are top priorities. But for all that money that you're spending for the defensive line, for all those draft assets that you use for your defensive line, where's the defensive line at? Where's the defense? Where's Josh Sweat? Josh Sweat had an off game. Fletcher Cox continues to struggle within this defensive scheme. Javon Hargrave, had an off game. Was kind of nowhere to be seen. And then really the only big news that came out of that defensive line was Derek Barnett on that 3rd and 6 late in the fourth quarter. Getting a penalty just in Derek Barnett fashion, and was called for a neutral zone infraction, and of course it brought that third and 6 to 3rd and 1, and then the Chargers were able to convert then on out, and that's what kind of milked that. That's what milked the clock. That's what kept Jalen Hurts from getting back on the field to see if he could have any shot, any chance, any opportunity whatsoever to lead a comeback drive for the Philadelphia Eagles, because we knew that they were going to get the field goal. The thing is that they went for it twice on 4th down on that final drive, and all the same, the defense could not stop. The defense could not stop the Chargers. The defense just could not stop the Chargers, and I just don't get it. What's coming on fourth and short. Either it's going to be a QB sneak or it's going to be a run, and you still can't stop. Still can't stop it. I just don't get it. Toxic Falcons, welcome to the chat today, my man. Falcons rise up. Yeah, that was a good game. That Falcons game was a good game, that's for sure. and they ended up beating the New Orleans Saints. But the New Orleans Saints have a backup quarterback right now. I don't want to take anything away from your excitement, but they do have a backup quarterback right now. And is it that big of a drop off from James Winston? I probably not, actually. So I mean, I guess that argument there. I mean, it's a good win. It was a good win for the Falcons, toxic Falcons. So, but some other news, before we continue to elaborate about the Eagles Chargers game. Um, obviously Odell Beckham Jr. was placed on waivers and cleared waivers today, unclaimed, I believe. So, and then Deshaun Jackson is going to sign with the Las Vegas Raiders. And then Toxic Falcon says, I heard Jalen had a good game. Yeah, Jalen had a really, really good game. I mean, I wouldn't say it was elite. I wouldn't say it was outstanding, but he did everything that he needed to do to make sure that the team was in the best position to win. So there was a phenomenal throw, about a 29-yard pass from Jalen Hurts to Devontae Smith, in that fourth quarter that brought the game 24-24. And so yeah, I mean, you cannot blame Jalen Hurts, and there are some people out there blaming Jalen Hurts for this loss, which I just don't understand. If anything, Jalen Hurts showed for the first time all season that I can think of since week 1, Jalen Hurts showed improvement in his game. I mean, some real quality improvement. And I think, he stood in the face of the blitz. He stood in the pocket a little bit longer, made some absolutely beautiful throws from the pocket, and used his legs when he needed to. Now, he didn't, they stuck with the offensive game plan of not necessarily having to rely on him as much. The Eagles were able to have a successful ground game for the second week in a row against a better team in the Los Angeles Chargers. And I think that they did a phenomenal job. So, Talk Falcon says, from what I heard, the defensive coach lost the game. The defensive coach, Jonathan Gannon, did certainly lose this game. Yeah, I mean, you need to have your players playing more aggressively. And if they're playing out of position, then you got to figure out a way to use them effectively, because Fletcher Cox is not a guy that you want to use out of position. I understand that you're trying to get these players to fit your defensive scheme, but that's not what we heard from you when you were hired on to be the defensive coordinator. The one popular thing that you like to hear with these new age coaches is that, no, we want to adjust the scheme to the players, and we want to figure out how to use them effectively. Well, it's like Fletcher Cox hasn't been being used effectively all season long. And it's just malpractice is basically what it is. It's malpractice. And same thing with Josh Sweat. They've been having him line up a little bit more inside than usual this season, but you would think, they came out against the Lions and they played a lot more aggressive. They did. And I understand that it was the Lions, but the Eagles defense just played a hell of a lot more aggressive. And so you would think that Jonathan Gannon would try and take some of the things that were successful against the Lions and implement them against the Chargers, and that's just not what happened. And the defense, I mean, you could tell that there were players that were playing with the ferocity. I think there were some great plays that were made, and there was a high energy from TJ Edwards. There was high energy from Davion Taylor. And it's like, if you have all these guys that are playing, if you have at least your outside linebacker, Davion Taylor, playing with high energy, why don't you send him on a blitz every now and again? I mean, he's an outside linebacker. Send him on a blitz. You know what I mean? Get after Justin Herbert, and they just didn't do that. They didn't even do it. And it's crazy to me because the two games prior to the Eagles playing the Chargers, those opposing teams set up the blueprint on how to how to confuse Justin Herbert, and the Eagles didn't do any of that. So who knows what they were looking at leading up to this game. It was absolutely insane. Darius Slay, obviously, he did go out with an injury later in the game. But again, even Darius Slay made some stupid decisions. They have a 6'8" wide receiver, tight end, Parham, I think his name is. Darius Slay tried to tackle him up top, and all Parham needed to do was, stiff arm, like pretty much just stiff arm him, and then he was thrown across the field. So like there was a ton of things on the defensive side that were reminiscent of what we've been seeing all season long. Honestly, it's inconsistent, ineffective. Once again, the Philadelphia Eagles defense is actually allowing, and this is a historic stat, the highest QB completion percentages of all time this season, and it continued on yesterday against the Chargers with Justin Herbert. I think he was 32 for 38 or something like that, for like 350 yards passing. It was absolutely insane. I mean, you cannot let up high completion percentages like that. If you're a successful defense, you hold them to 62 or under. 62 or under, honestly. Toxic Falcon says, DB, I got to know your thoughts on the Bills versus the Jags game. Good win for the Jacksonville Jaguars, really. Josh, obviously defensive end Josh Allen, not quarterback Josh Allen, played out of his mind. I think that they came in and they played really, really well. Again, it was a defensive game, obviously 9-6, but I mean, for a team like the Bills, who are kind of up and coming, you got to beat the teams that you got to beat the teams that you're supposed to beat. The Jacksonville Jaguars are one of those teams, but no, kudos to the Jaguars for getting that win over the Buffalo Bills. What are some of the things that you think about the game, Toxic Falcons? King Miro, welcome to the chat today, my man. Good to hear from you. Happy Monday. I blame JG for this game. Oh yeah, Jonathan Gannon. Yeah, Jonathan Gannon needs to get his head straight. I mean, he needs to figure out how to use these players successfully and effectively. And it's a complete oddity to me how you can how this defensive line that does have a ton of experience, when it comes to it, like Fletcher Cox, Javon Hargrave, we know Brandon Graham is out for the season, but still, you've got players who are supposed to be performing at a higher level, like Josh Sweat. It absolutely behooves me that they're not getting anything out of those guys, with the exception of Javon Hargrave. But now, the offensive coaches, know that Javon Hargrave is having success in this scheme and Fletcher Cox is not. So, they're doubling Javon Hargrave now, and it's keeping him from having success. Toxic Falcon says, we know who the real Josh Allen is. I still think it's Josh Allen, the quarterback, honestly. Toxic Falcon says, oh yeah, I know you got to be happy with the way the Cowboys lost yesterday. Yeah, I was completely happy. I was completely happy that the Denver Broncos absolutely destroyed the Dallas Cowboys yesterday, in Jerry World in Dallas. So yeah, no, I was completely enamored with that. The only thing that I'm not, which is, I guess, the emotional debris of watching something like that happen, is the Eagles play the Broncos, this week, and the Broncos game, the Eagles Broncos game, with the Eagles kind of turning things around slowly but surely with the offense and things like that, I had that penned in as a win, and now I'm not so sure that it's going to be a win for the Philadelphia Eagles. I did count this game, however, against the Chargers as a loss. So I brought up the other day, when it comes to the last 9 games of the schedule, the Eagles could go 6-3 the last 9 games. I mean, their games are so weak. The competition is so weak the rest of the way that the Eagles could go 6-3. And obviously, I listed in the Saints, I listed in the Chargers, and I listed it in the Cowboys as losses. Everything else is up for grabs and up in the air. But now with the way that the Broncos kind of shut down the Cowboys yesterday, it makes you think. You know what I mean? But again, the Cowboys always do this. This is something that we've talked about. The Cowboys always find a way to stutter in the second half of the season. So I'm looking forward to continue to continue watching the breakdown of the Dallas Cowboys. Atlanta Falcons Toxic Falcon says we got to play in Jerry World Sunday. Well, hey, I hope you guys can take advantage of I hope you guys can take advantage and beat up on the Cowboys. I'm hoping that the Cowboys this is the descent into falling apart, but I don't think they will. I think they'll come back, and honestly, Toxic Falcons, no offense, but I do believe that they will get revenge on just their loss against the Broncos and come out swinging against your team. King Miro says, now the Broncos are going to destroy us. Well, we'll see. I mean, the offense continues to make improvements week in, week out. Nick Sirianni continued to improve. They stuck with the ground game. Even late in the fourth quarter, they stuck with the ground game and were able to play action off that and get things going. And Devontae Smith had a great day. Jalen Hurts had a decent day, showed improvement for the first time all season long. And so, I'm hoping that stuff continues, and I'm hoping that we don't border on the between the lines of inconsistency and what the hell do we do next? Tox Falcon says, no, I definitely see the Eagles winning Sunday 27-17. We'll see. That's pretty, fortuitous of you. Damien Creative, Dad, welcome to the chat. Gannon stubbornly refuses to change or make adjustments. He's not getting pressure with 4 and haven't all year. At some point, you send 5, 6, God forbid 7. Agreed. Yeah, no, absolutely agreed. I mean, I honestly believe that they have these guys playing out of position, and obviously we know that Fletcher Cox is playing out of position, and not being allowed to play more aggressively. But all the same, I mean, yeah, you gotta. I mean, I agree with you. These guys, they gotta send more. They gotta find a way to put pressure. I mean, Justin Herbert wasn't pressured all game long. His jersey was clean all game long until he got that rushing touchdown, and that's about it. I mean, and it's absolutely mind blowing to me that you have guys with experience along the defensive line like Fletcher Cox and Javon Hargrave, and even Josh Sweat is getting up there too. These guys performed decent enough last year and the years that they've been playing in the league, and now they're absolutely doing nothing. And week in, week out, we continue to say the same things over and over again, which is why aren't you getting more pressure on the quarterback? Why aren't you doing this? Why aren't you playing more aggressive? You have to play more aggressive. We're 3-6. Who cares? Who cares if we still lose? At least you lost playing aggressive. At least you lost playing with heart. At least you lost playing your butt off to try and stop these guys. So Damon Creative says, no matter what, you have to get in the QB's face. Yeah, absolutely. Or show him something different. Just show them something different. Well, that's the thing. But the 2 games before the Eagles played the Chargers, is those were those 2 opposing teams created the blueprint on how to confuse Justin Herbert, and it's like Jonathan Gannon didn't take any notes from either one of those games. King Miro says, "Be better. We better draft a linebacker in the first round." I don't think that's happening. Yeah, I don't think that's happening. I think that I don't think Howie Roseman's going anywhere. So I guess I can preface this topic with that. Guys, Howie Roseman's not going anywhere. And Jeffrey Lurie and him are in love, and those ties will never break. So it's almost like a Chinese finger trap. When you get your 2 fingers stuck on both, or when you get your fingers stuck on both ends, and it's really hard to pull out. That's kind of what their relationship is. So yeah, there's not going to be a linebacker taken in the first round. I do believe that they're probably going to go secondary. My hope is that they grab one of those top corners, and they need to grab either a pass rusher or a defensive lineman, or both. Or both. Who knows? And maybe they'll even try. This is the crazy thing. This is the crazy thing about us having 3 first-round draft picks is 2 out of 3 of those are probably going to be defensive. They probably should be defensive. However, it's the third one that, and actually I can make a case for all 3 being a defensive. You should make all 3 defensive. I mean, I can tell you right now, one of the top corners, the safety from Notre Dame, what's his name, and then maybe go defensive line, because here's the thing: Fletcher Cox is not going to be here after in the 2022 offseason. He's just not. They're going to trade him in the 2022 offseason, and they're going to look to cut a lot of shit. So, but hey, I mean, Eagles sent some scouts to the game versus Matt Corral versus Malik Harris and Liberty this weekend. So those are two of the top quarterbacks, 2 of the top ranked quarterbacks in this draft. So the fact that they sent scouts means that they're probably looking at both players. So are the Eagles going to draft a quarterback this year? I don't know, but we'll just have to see. I'm not completely against it, because I think that they should bring in somebody else other than Gardner Minshew to compete with Jalen Hurts for the starting spot. But I'm kind of on the like I want Jalen to succeed. I like Jalen. I think he's a good leader. Damien Creative says, notice the Chargers inevitably put 7 or 8 in the box in attempt to stop our running game. Yeah, they did. They had some success on some plays, but our offensive line played pretty well, and was able to keep that stuff going. Tox Falcon says, I also heard that O-line played pretty bad and Jalen had to avoid at least 6 sacks. No. I mean, Jalen did avoid pressure, but they honestly had to send extra blitzers to get to Jalen. They had to send extra blitzers to get to Jalen. The O-line didn't play that bad, but no, the O-line played decent. The O-line played decent. The Chargers had to send extra blitzers to get to Jalen Hurts. So yeah. Not too worried about it. Yeah, our offensive line is one of the best in the league. So, when it came to the run game, everything was great and groovy and everything was fine. But King Miro says, see, I said this a long time ago. Howie and Jeffrey are secretly. It's funny. Oh, boy. Hey, if they are, good for them. However, just draft better. Hit on your draft picks more, and I bet you that Eagles fans wouldn't complain about about you so much, you know? And look, we're already, here's the other thing too is look at Jalen Reagor. Look at Jalen Reagor. You know what I mean? Like, clearly he is not going to be even a Debo Samuel, which is what I thought he could possibly be when we drafted him. Um, and obviously Justin Jefferson, the guy that was drafted right behind him, is clearly better. The Eagles clearly missed on that pick. And Jalen Rager's demise or inability to develop as a wide receiver was even more highlighted by the fact that Devontae Smith came out and rocked out. Devontae Smith came out and balled out on Sunday. He balled out yesterday. And so we were waiting for that. We were waiting for that 6-catch, 100+ yard game with a touchdown or so. And that's what he did. I mean, right now he's on pace for about 73 receptions for 1,000 yards and about 4 touchdowns so far in the season. So that's a decent year for a rookie wide receiver, in my opinion. Talks Falcon says, DB, would you really draft any of these QBs in the first round, man? Yeah, I would. Honestly, I really would. And I'll tell you why. Because there's a long time to go between now and the draft, and there's a lot to do. A lot of these guys usually up their draft stock, between now and the draft. It's like we're jumping, and I've said this all season long, honestly, is we're jumping to conclusions about this draft class, this quarterback draft class, way too quickly. A lot of the time, and this is for every year, this is for every position in the draft, a lot of these guys really do increase their draft stock and between now and the draft. There's a lot to do. There's pro days, there's college pro days, there's individual workouts, so there's so many things that go on. There's games left to be played. There's college championship playoffs to be played, so like I think that the Philadelphia Eagles, sending some scouts to scout Matt Corral and Malik Harris out of Liberty is perfectly cool. I'm perfectly fine with that. Those are two of the top guys. Those are two of the top guys of the position in this draft. So, you never know what you're going to see. You never know what you're going to see when it comes to these guys. You guys have to remember, like, Tom Brady was a 6th round pick. Now, I'm not saying anybody's going to become Tom Brady. I'm not. Tom Brady's the GOAT. We know that. Like, his draft profile basically insinuated that he was going to be a complete chub. You know what I mean? Or a chump, not chub, chump. Dr. Falcon says Fields just got stuck. So yeah. So yeah, I'm completely fine with, and I would be completely fine if they drafted one of these guys, with one of those 3rd round picks. Do I think that they should? I mean, and maybe it's going to be the Colts pick, and I believe it is going to be I believe if they're going to take a quarterback, it's going to be with the pick that's later in the 1st round. And maybe I'm wrong. Maybe one of these quarterback prospects will increase their draft stock so much that you have to take them earlier in the draft. But I'm perfectly fine with the Eagles taking a quarterback with whatever of the last 3 1st round picks that they have to come in and compete with Jalen Hurts and Gardner Minshew. I really am. Docs Falcon says first 5 picks will be defense. As of right now, we have a long way to go, and I agree with you. As of right now, it's gonna be defense, but it's only November. It's only November 8th, and the draft is so far in advance. It's in April. You know what I mean? So it's like we have We have so much. We have so much to do, so much to go, so much research to do. About the different prospects and things like that. And obviously we have a good feel for it, but I mean like the further evaluation of the prospects, including their pro days, how they do at the pro day, how they do at the combine, how they do at, individual workouts, things like that. Like, what are we going to see? What are we going to see? Toxic Falcon says, I really want Jordan Davis from Georgia. Jordan Davis from Georgia. Yeah, he's a good. Yeah, he's good for sure. He's good for sure. That would probably be a good pick. That'd be a good pick for the Falcons. Honestly, defensive lineman. Yeah, I mean the Falcons need some defensive linemen. I mean, they need more than one. They need more than one. They need to be able to get to the quarterback on a consistent basis. But let's check in on the game that's going on now. Obviously, it's the Pittsburgh Steelers playing the Chicago Bears, and the Pittsburgh Steelers are up 14-0 in the second quarter with 10 minutes left to go in the second quarter. King Miro says thoughts on Devontae Smith yesterday. I thought Devontae came out and played really well. Obviously, I mean that was kind of his best game yet in the NFL, having 100 plus, and then so I feel like he came out and played really well, and I feel like they're him and Jalen are increasing their chemistry um, together. So I feel like that's a really good sign. I feel like him breaking out yesterday is a really good sign. I mean, if you even just go back and look at just some of the things that he does when Devontae doesn't get the ball, and this has kind of been this way all season long, is he still finds a way to get separation on his routes. So he's always been running really really good routes. But yesterday it kind of just all came together, and it's going to continue to all come together as long as Nick Sirianni continues to maintain a balanced offensive scheme and continues to include the run game so that we can open up that play action for Devontae Smith, you know? So, um, yeah, I absolutely loved how Devontae came out yesterday and just want it to continue. Tox Falcons says maybe the Eagles should start drafting wideouts from Oklahoma and LSU. Maybe. Maybe. Um, that's the thing too. Is it would be a shocker. It would be a shocker, I guess, if the Eagles took one of the top wideouts in the first round this year, because they clearly wanted more from Jalen Rager when they drafted him in the first round, and they haven't gotten it yet. Um, so but I also am excited about the development of Quez Watkins. So he's gonna, he's earned his way to continue to play on this team for more than just a couple of years. So excited for his development. I just wish he could get the ball more. And honestly, I think that those things will come with the more comfortable Jalen is with a heavier workload, obviously passing the ball and things like that. Now, obviously they decreased it. Once they found the successful running game, and realized that we need to play some balanced football right now, and that's where Jalen's at with his development. So we'll see how it all plays out. I'm gonna be Jalen did play better yesterday, and Jalen showed signs of improvement for the first time all season long, and so my hope is that continues. That he continues to make strides, because I root for the guy. I really do. I root for Jalen Hurts. Does he piss me off? Has he pissed me off a lot this season? Yeah, but I do think he's a good leader, and I think that he has the tools to get better and to succeed. He just has to develop. He just has to develop those tools. He has to develop those tools. Docs Falcon says, I'll say it. I was wrong on Justin Jefferson and Chase, Jamar Chase. Yeah, I think I think everybody was cautious because Jamar Chase started off the season not so hot with those drops. But yeah, now he's really come into his own. Justin Jefferson, I like Justin Jefferson last year, when as a prospect. And honestly, I thought that the Eagles were going to grab him right then and there. Everybody and their mother thought that the Philadelphia Eagles were going to grab Justin Jefferson right there. They just decided to take Jalen Reagor. But I think that the downside to his draft profile last year was he exclusively played in the slot pretty much. But again, he had the intangibles of being an outside guy, and it's so I think people got ran away with that too much. Tox Falcon says, but DB, you can see Kyle Pitts is going to be something special. Oh yeah, absolutely. I mean, he had a down game, I think, right? I think he had a down game a couple weeks ago, but yeah, no, Kyle Pitts clearly is going to be something special. Kyle Pitts is clearly going to be something special. I think that that's a tight end. Kyle Pitts, is a tight end playmaker, wide receiver that you guys will be able to use and should be able to keep on your team, for 8+ years. You know what I mean? He's one of those key core value pieces to your franchise that and that's what I think about Kyle Pitts. I think hands down, he's a core piece. He's a core foundational piece to the success of the Falcons moving forward. So, and I'm excited to see what he brings. As far as just a fan of the game and the excitement, like I'm excited to see him get better. You know what I mean? And see what he brings and see what his legacy turns out to be. So, Tox Falcon says we got some great young wideouts in the NFL this year. Yeah, we do. Agreed. I mean, obviously Jamar Chase, Jalen Waddle is even doing well. And obviously Devontae Smith. Devontae, I mean, all three of them, really, those were the top three to go in this past draft. And all three have shown some phenomenal signs of legitimacy. Dox Falcon says, I love how everyone but the QBs in this draft class are playing great. Yeah, I mean, here's the thing. Okay, so here's the thing about the QB draft class. Like, we know we don't so once they get to the NFL, here's the thing, is once they get to the NFL, they're going to be asked to play a more professional style offense. So you never know how one of these guys is going to acclimate to playing in a pro style offense compared to what they're playing in college. And these aren't they're not bad players, right? Like Malik Harris out of Liberty, like he's not a bad player. Sam Howell out of North Carolina, he's not a bad player. And same thing with Matt Corral, he's not a bad, and the guy out of Cincinnati, like they're not bad players. And I bet you Spencer Rattler is not even going to be a bad player. He's probably going to be an okay player. He got benched. Yeah, we know that, but at once upon a time, Spencer Rattler was a phenom. Like he had great potential, and his stock was rising, and all, and da. So you just don't know what now and the time between now and the NFL draft is going to look like. You just don't. One of these guys could run, could do really well. I mean, they could do really well at their passing at their passing drills in the pro day. Like it's all it's all a process. It's all a process. You know what I mean? So, like, I bet you that Malik Harris could come into the NFL, run a system like they do with Lamar, and play well. You know what I mean? I bet you he could come into the Eagles system that Nick Sirianni is currently running with Jalen Hurts, and do decent, and do a decent job, But yeah, no, I mean, but I'm right there with you though, Toxic Falcons. I really am. I mean, I'm just not ready to write off the 2022 quarterback draft class. I'm just not. I think it's way too early to do that, but I do agree that they do have to show more improvement, but I'm just not ready to write them off yet. You know what I mean? Like, I'm not ready to write them off yet. Like, there's so much things. There's so many opportunities left to go for development and progression, and so it's only fair for us to give them that. But I get it. Fans like to emote quickly. Oh, you meant in the draft class that just came out. Okay. It talks about will any of them make the playoffs this season? Yeah, the Patriots are going to make the playoffs. You heard it here first. The Patriots are going to make the playoffs. Mac Jones will get a playoff berth. I don't think he's going to go far, but I think that the Patriots will make a playoff will get a playoff appearance, and I think that that's the only rookie quarterback uh, in this draft class that just came out that will make it. In my opinion, I mean, you can't count. The Patriots have been playing better. I mean, they beat the Chargers, you know, and I'm not, the Chargers haven't been playing well, but that's because Bill Belichick found a way to shut down Justin Herbert, confuse Justin Herbert. You know what I mean? So yeah, I think so. They're playing better. Um, they beat Carolina yesterday. You know what I mean? So I mean, what is their record? I'm not even sure off the top of my head. They're 5-4. Patriots are 5-4. So, um, so yeah, I think Bill's gonna continue to really help Mac Jones in his development, and continue to get better. And that's the thing. That's the thing too. Is Mac Jones is looking like the better quarterback in this draft class. Which, I'm not trying to take any kudos or anything, but there was that one week where I was like, the Eagles should take Mac Jones at 6. I kind of did say that, but I'm just saying. But then they traded back to 10. But even then, like, they still had a shot at Mac Jones. But I'm happy with the pick for Devontae Smith. Um, you know, I just I've always liked Mac Jones. I've always liked Mac Jones. I liked him as a prospect. Um, and I think honestly, I even said it leading up to the draft. We were having our heavy talks about the draft and things like that. Is I think that he would be a perfect fit for Bill Belichick. Um, and lo and behold, he's doing really well. He's outperforming the rest of the rookie quarterback class, and he's developing really well with Bill Belichick and that team. So, I'm very impressed with Mac Jones. Very impressed. As so far. But yeah, I mean, because you have to think about this. I mean, you have to think about this as well. Talkin says 5-4. I think. Yeah, no, I just checked. They are 5-4. You have to think about this as well as like the Chiefs aren't really standing in anybody's way so far this season. The Titans are beatable. The Titans are good, but the Titans are beatable. There's obviously I think Indianapolis. I really do think that the Colts are going to make a late push. Really do. I really do. It's a shame that they lost the game 2 weeks ago against the Tennessee Titans because Carson started that game off hot. He was playing hot all game long until he tried to make something happen on the 1 yard line, and it was intercepted and returned for a touchdown. But even then, they were able to come back and score and get it to overtime against the Titans, and Carson just threw a bad ball in overtime in triple coverage, and it was like the worst pass he'd thrown all season long. But I do believe that the Indianapolis Colts are another AFC team to look out for when it comes to that late season push for the playoffs. Because Carson Wentz is playing really well, and obviously, they have running back Jonathan Taylor, and he's looking like the lead. He's looking like one of the best backs so far in the NFL this season. I think he's right up there, honestly. He might even be at top now as far as rushing yardage is concerned. Now that Derrick Henry is out for the season, but yeah, I mean they have all the tools that they need to be able to succeed and go on a run and make a late playoff push. So there's a few teams. The Patriots are one of them. The Colts are another one. The Chiefs, I believe, are going to make a late playoff. I think the Chiefs are going to get some shit together and make a late playoff push. It's going to be interesting. As far as the AFC is concerned, I think it really is going to be interesting. As far as the NFC is concerned, I mean, I don't think there's anybody that's like unbeatable, except for the Cardinals. To be honest with you, clearly the Dallas Cowboys can be beat. So, I'm not, as we saw yesterday with the whooping that the Denver Broncos put on them. So, I'm not too worried. I'm not too worried about the NFC from a competition standpoint. So, and who knows how this entire thing is going to play out. Honestly, we have 8 games left. And there's 17 games left. There's an additional wild card spot. So who knows? Who knows? And then again, like even jumping back to the Deshaun Jackson thing to the Raiders. Obviously the Raiders started off like 5-2. And I think they just lost recently. Yeah, they lost yesterday to the New York Giants, which is stunning. And now they bring in Deshaun Jackson. So hopefully, maybe that will pick up the slack that is left by the departure of Henry Ruggs. Unfortunately. So we'll have to see. But jumping back to the Eagles though, defense needs to play better. And the defense needs to play more aggressive. They have to start getting sacks on the quarterback, getting pressure to the quarterback just in general. Otherwise, yeah, I think Jonathan Gannon should be one and done. And I wonder if they're even talking about it. You know what I mean? I wonder if management is even talking about that already or not in the Novacare complex, because Jonathan Gannon has really, while the secondary has played better, you can't keep playing that way and expect the secondary to hold up. You really can't. You really can't. But hopefully the Philadelphia Eagles can get a win against the Broncos this week. I'll continue to do more streams throughout the week, guys. Continue to talk about it a lot more. Odell Beckham Jr. obviously went unclaimed. As far as I know, I don't know if he was officially put on waivers today, or if somebody did put a waiver in, then he would have been claimed today. But he would have been claimed by 4:00, that I know. So it looks like he went unclaimed. Quite a few teams that just don't want anything to do with him. The Lions, who had the number one, who had top priority in the waiver claim. Dan Campbell came out and said no, we don't want to do that. Giants obviously said no. So we'll see. The Eagles are 8th on that list. I don't think the Eagles should make a play for it. I think it's a toxicity thing in the locker room for me. I don't want a toxic player like that in the locker room, and just would love to see the young wide receivers continue to develop, and like Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins. Hopefully Jalen Reagor can turn something around. But we'll see. This is DB Talking Now, DB Talking Birds, DB Talking Philadelphia Eagles. Thank you guys so much for joining in with me today, and you guys have a beautiful, blessed evening. All right, peace out.